grain. We have this stalk of grain, and on that stalk of grain is one head of grain who is happy being a head of grain. He's happy there. He wants to remain there on this stalk snugly where he enjoys his life. He's comfortable and he's content. In fact, he says, this is my life. This is the only life I know, and it's what I've been given, and I'm happy living here on this stalk of grain with the other 20 to 30 heads of grain. But one day things start to change. He started thinking that life can be more than just being a head of grain on that stalk. He said, you know what? I think I want to be my own stalk. I want to bear my own fruit. I want to go out into this field and start my own stalk. So he does everything he can. He gets courage. He becomes brave, and he starts moving back and forth, trying to break away from that stalk. One day, the winds pick up and it's gustier than usual. And when a gust of wind came along, he really leaned to one side and snap, he broke off from that stalk and he fell to the ground some 10, 11 feet away. And there he lays on the ground. Now, if you would, stop and think about this from a moment, from a spiritual standpoint. That was an extremely brave thing to do. And I think that there's probably people here this morning who have done that very thing. People who have broken away from the world they knew, from the influences, perhaps of their family. They said, I don't want to live that way anymore, and I know that God has a purpose for me. That fallen grain of wheat is now lying there on the ground. And he lays there just looking at the stalk he fell from, and he wonders, well, okay, what happens now? What's next? And the answer is nothing. Nothing's next. You just lay there on the ground. The point is, he took the first step. But the first step isn't all that's needed in order to make the change. Breaking away from the stalk, that was huge. That was a big deal. But in order for real change to occur, what needs to happen? He needs to get buried. He needs to burrow himself down in the earth and cover himself and die. That's what he needs to do. He then has to sacrifice himself. And that means he leaves everything he's ever known, never to return. That's what you do when you die. You never return. Then that amazing thing happens. The Lord takes that full self-sacrifice, and then the growing begins. He becomes something great. I think there's two reasons that Jesus tells this story. And the first one has to do with himself. You know, his disciples had a hard time, I think, figuring out what Jesus was there to do. They wanted him to live the old life on the stalk and then somehow sprout from there. They didn't want him to die. Jesus knew that the only way for real life to begin was for him to die. And I think the second reason he's telling this story is that he's going to use this illustration about his disciples. Look there at verse 25. He says, whoever loves his life loses it, and whoever hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. If you love what you were, in other words, he's saying that's what you will have, but you're going to die in that life. But if you decide to put to death your life, then you're going to keep your new life. Continue in verse 26. If anyone serves me, he must follow me. And where I am, there will my servant be also. If anyone serves me, the Father will honor him. Following Jesus. I really believe it's not that difficult to believe in Jesus. I really don't think so. I don't think that's a real issue. I think the hard part comes in following Jesus. Making that commitment to him. I believe in him. How much do you believe in him? Enough to follow him, and that's his point. Yeah, you got to die to self, but that's not all there is. Are you going to follow me? He doesn't want us to just believe in him. He wants us to break away from the world, from our old selves, put that self to death, and follow him. And if you've broken away from the world, you're no longer attached to that lifestyle anymore, that's wonderful, and that's a good thing. But you're not there yet. That's not all that there is. He says in verse 26, if anyone serves me, he must follow me. Follow him. Well, follow Jesus where? You know the answer. To the grave. That's where you have to follow him. To the grave. Giving up your old life is great. But just lying there on the ground, having given up your old life, is just a lonely way to live. You go to church, you live a pretty good life. You don't participate in that old lifestyle anymore. But that's not all there is. You have to die to self. And now let Christ come and fill you and live in you so that now you have this new life. And so then I leave you with that question this morning. Have I died to myself? Or am I just here because that's what I always do? Or am I doing it because I don't like living for myself anymore? Those old ways, those old habits, those old associations that just brought me nothing but trouble. Are you living for Christ? If I am, that means I have died to myself. Thank you.
Be dismissed until the next term. Thank